Peace, y'all. Welcome to Be the Revolution podcast. This is the Agitate, Advocate, and Activate edition. We're merging politics with dirt bike riding, and we're going to try to make it as simple as possible. Politics as usual, right? So we're going to jump straight in. Baltimore is unique because for any riders that are riding on public property in Baltimore or can be charged as a misdemeanor, right? The actual criminal charge. It is not deemed a traffic violation. Again, this is not deemed a traffic violation within the jurisdiction of Baltimore City. We have to be made aware of that because unknowingly and knowingly, a lot of us are out there breaking the law, right? Just out of joy, recreation, right? So let's be mindful of that. So I came here to help educate and inform us. What deems this activity illegal? Let's go straight to the book. What is the policy that's on the book right now? That is our local. We can go down to our local governance, right? City council. We go down, city council goes down to the mayor's office, go straight downtown. There on as a policy and a piece of legislation. Article 19, subsection 40, unregistered motorcycles and similar vehicles. Let's dig deep in that. In that policy itself, it defines what dirt bikes are. And it defines and shows the difference between dirt bikes and other all-terrain vehicles, mopeds, scooters, and all of these things, right? And we're going to tell you what constitutes a dirt bike in comparison to everything else. But let's go straight in, right? So a dirt bike can include a mini bike in anything that's all-terrain on 3 or 4 wheels when it contacts with the ground, right? All-terrain vehicle and a mini bike, all right? All of those will be considered under as a dirt bike in Baltimore City, all right? This does not include a moped. It does not include a motor scooter. They are different. So we talked about the difference between the motors, the mopeds, and the motor scooters, right? Those are not categorized as dirt bikes at all, right? So let's block those two. And we can move them from the categories of dirt bikes because most of the time they are registered, right, with Maryland Vehicle Law or MVA. Now, why we deem dirt bikes, why does Baltimore City legislation, elected officials, and others deem dirt bikes illegal? Because they are considered unregistered motorcycle or unregistered vehicles, right? And why is that? Dirt bikes are considered all-terrain vehicles, right? However, they're unregistered, which is deemed still illegal in Baltimore City, right? And let's go into this. What is prohibited of these actual dirt bikes? Let's go straight into it. So it says driving and riding, leaving unmobilized. Leaving unmobilized. Let's break this one word down because it will continuously show up. Yes, it's legal to buy a dirt bike in Baltimore City. Yes, it's legal to possess a dirt bike in Baltimore City. However, it's only legal as long as it's immobilized. That means it can't move. Once you demobilizes it and it's now movable, it's now considered illegal. We are now breaking the law. Doesn't make sense to me either. But unless you're purchasing a dirt bike as a trophy to just sit stationary in your home, once you take it from its stationary space, it is now deemed illegal. It is also, if you have it in your home, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. If you have it in your home and your bike still has fuel in it, it's now considered a safety hazard because of the likelihood of it igniting or combusting and turning into a fire, right? So now it's become a safety hazard, and now it's not only deemed illegal in a safety hazard, they're now able, the system is now able to use the fire department and other agencies to come in within your home to confiscate that bike because they want to confiscate it because they deemed it, one, it has been immobilized, and it can be a safety hazard because of the fuel that's in it, and it may can catch fire. All right. Driving or riding, leaving unimmobilized. The law says this. Part 2, prohibited operations. No person may drive or ride any dirt bike or any unregistered motorcycle or similar vehicle on any public or private property that is located in Baltimore City or wherever located that is owned or regulated by the city. So again, layman's terms, no person may drive or ride a dirt bike or any similar vehicle, unregistered motorcycle or similar vehicle in Baltimore City on public or private property, or any property that is regulated by the city whatsoever. Imagine that. That's exactly the case here. So once it hits anything, our roads are public property, right? It is owned by the city. So anytime you're riding down the street, you're on public property. Parks can sometimes be public, sometimes they can be private. Homes, public. No, most homes are your private property, but it's still deemed illegal to have it if it's unimmobilized. Y'all got it? So possessing an unmobilized vehicle. No person may own, control, or possess or have custody of a dirt bike or any unregistered motorcycle or similar vehicle in Baltimore City unless the vehicle is securely locked or otherwise immobilized by a wheel clamp or other object, devices, methods, and mechanism, whether attached to the vehicle or not. I'll say that one more time. No person may own, control, or possess a dirt bike or have it in their custody, a dirt bike or any other unregistered vehicle in Baltimore City unless that vehicle, that dirt bike, is securely locked or otherwise immobilized, cannot be moved, right, by a wheel clamp or any other mechanism that prevents the wheels, the vehicle, from freely moving, and it cannot be removed or deactivated without the assistance of the vehicle's owner. Y'all get where I'm going with this? You cannot own it or possess it or have it in your custody unless it's already unimmobilized. It cannot be able to move itself. So you have to secure it. It has to show that it cannot move freely, it has to have these clamps, and it has to have the assistance of the vehicle owner to even deactivate or to put it into mobilization. But once it's moving, it's now deemed illegal again. So basically, what the city wants us to do is just purchase our bikes and never move them. How many parents, mothers purchase a bike for their youngest son, their daughters, and have little to no idea that we're purchasing them a gift that can further criminalize them because of a law that doesn't understand ourselves and a law that doesn't make sense? Who purchased a bicycle without the want of wanting to ride it? Who purchased a skateboard without wanting to actually jump aboard the skateboard to skate on it, right? This is how these laws are written. I will call it de jure, outdated, but let's go more into it. No one is permitted to allow another person to drive or ride your dirt bike. Imagine putting your best friend on a bike. Now your best friend, your little cousin, is now deemed engaging in illegal activity because they were actually just riding along or riding with you on what they considered this unregistered motorcycle or dirt bike that has not been regulated by the city or has its own registration. So it says no owner or person in control or custody of a dirt bike or any unregistered motorcycle or similar vehicle may be permitted to be driven or ridden by any other person on any public or private property that is located in Baltimore City. So not only can you not ride it, you can't hand it to anyone else to ride it on any public or private property in Baltimore City. Parents, this next one is for you. No parent or guardian of a minor may knowingly permit their minor to violate any of these provisions that has been noted. No parent is allowed to knowingly allow their young person to violate any of these subtitles under this particular law. But again, when we are here in one of our rights as passengers to purchase a dirt bike, little do we know we're channeling our young people to the likelihood or increases their likelihood of justice involvement, which is why we're doing videos like this. Not saying not to do it, but we got to be even more aware of the law and the policy so that we know to change it to better complement our communities, our interests, our values in the future of Baltimore City and our young people. We've all seen this. It's no secret. The law even makes it illegal for you to fuel up your dirt bike in Baltimore City. So let's go into this one. The motor fuel sales. No service station nor any person may sell, transfer, or dispense motor fuel for delivery into any dirt bike or any unregistered motorcycle or similar vehicle. The gas station's not supposed to do it. Your friend's not supposed to do it. For some reason, they want you to purchase a dirt bike and not even have fuel in it. But again, if that fuel is in it and it's now considered stationary in your house, immobilized, and it has the fuel in it, it's still considered illegal because it now becomes a fire hazard. So the next part talks about the ramifications that'll be placed on any gas stations of allowing the fueling of any of these things. Now let's get into this one. We all know that we have the dirt bike cemetery that just rotten dirt bikes that's just rotting under the sun. The policy to retreat and to get your dirt bike back is a hassle. Right? It's not streamlined. It's everywhere. We can do better as a city. But let's see what put this in place. Search and seizures. What is ground for seizure? Search and seizures. Ground for the seizure of your dirt bike. When authorized, grounds for seizure. Except as provided, dirt bikes or unregistered vehicles is subject to search and forfeiture if it is used in violation of these subsidies. A vehicle may not be forfeited under the subsidy solely because an act or an omission by a person other than the vehicle's owners committed or omitted while the vehicle was unlawfully in the other person's possession. What does that mean? A vehicle may not be forfeited under the subtitle solely because of an act or an omission by a person than the vehicle's owner committed or omitted that the vehicle was unlawfully in other person's possession. So, grounds for the seizure. It can be taken, it can be confiscated, even if you yourself was not aware or did not lawfully give it to someone else to ride that bike, because earlier it speaks once it's immobilized and is moving freely on public or private property with you or anyone else is still deemed illegal. Seizure by the police. When warrant is not needed, a police officer need not to have a warrant to seize a vehicle if the police officer has probable cause to believe the vehicle has been used in violation of this subtitle, this policy, and a warrant is not constitutionally required under these circumstances. A warrant is not needed to confiscate your dirt bike in Baltimore City under the probable cause that you have violated this particular ordinance. A warrant is not constitutionally required under these circumstances. The removal of a vehicle. Whenever a police officer sees a vehicle under this subtitle, the police may cause it to be moved to be placed by the designated police commissioner. Whenever a police officer sees under this subtitle, this policy, which we're speaking of, the police officer may cause it to be moved to a place designated by the police commissioner. So the police commissioner designates where these actual bikes will go. Like, we know where they are. A vehicle seized under this subtitle is not retrievable and remains in custody of the police department, subject only to the orders and the decrees of the court or official with jurisdiction over it. So once your bike is seized, you must go through the particular processes in the courts to get your official traction to go back and to retrieve your document. We can go further into that. But again, they're saying it's not retrievable and it remains in the custody of the police department unless you go through the particular steps with the courts, right? In that particular that office or department that has jurisdiction over that. Police refer to case promptly. After the police shall notify the referral to the solicitor. After your bike has been seized, this now is a referral to the solicitor. The police to refer the case. They promptly after seizure, the police department will notify the city solicitor in writing of the facts and the circumstances of the seizure of your property, being the dirt bikes. Police informs the city solicitor of the facts and circumstances of why your dirt bike was seized. On receiving this report, they will conduct an independent review of the facts and circumstances surrounding the seizure. A solicitor finds evidence that the vehicle was used in violation of the law. They will notify the vehicle's owner by registered or certified mail of the seizure of the city's intent to institute forfeiture procedures. Right? So once they can deem that you have violated the law, they will then send you, the vehicle owner, the dirt bike owner, the person with the bill of sale, that they a certified mail that it is possibly going into the institute of forfeiture procedure to you'll never regain your bike back. On the other hand, the solicitor may find that it is insufficient evidence to prove violation, and the solicitor shall surrender the vehicle to the owner upon the owner's request. So if they do not find enough evidence that is sufficient, the solicitor shall surrender the vehicle upon the owner's request. Know your rights, people. Forfeiture petition notice. All right, this is what you do to file to get yours back. City solicitor determines that the vehicle should be forfeited. The solicitor shall, within 90 days, again, 90 days of your property being seized, will file a forfeiture petition in a court competent jurisdiction. So find the court within that jurisdiction of where it took place, in the name of the city, against the vehicle as designated by the make, model, and the motor or serial number. File a forfeiture petition in a court of competent jurisdiction in the name of the city against the vehicle as designated by the make, model, year, the motor, or the serial number, and at the same time send copies of the petition by registered or certified mail to the owner or any second party. The petition for forfeiture shall contain the number, the name of the registered owner, the name of any second party whose interests appear maintained by the clerks of the court, the statements of the facts of the seizure, the statement of specific grounds for forfeiture, and the request vehicle forfeited by the city. These are all things that the solicitor will do to put in place that will have you forfeit your vehicle. All right. Within 7 days of that, there's a petition filing. The solicitor shall publish the notice of the search and seizure proceeding in one or more newspapers of general circulation. The notice shall state the substance of the forfeiture in the petition. State any person claiming an interest in the seized vehicle must file a defense within 15 days of that notice. All right, so he got 90 days. Then within 7 days after that 90, 97, and then another 15, right? All within that time, that window of time, you either have to forfeit it or you will have the means to defend against the petition within that 15 days after the first 97. To answer to the petition, when to be made, any defense to the petition must be made 15 days after the publication. How How to be made? All defense to the petition for forfeiture must be made by answer. The answer must comply with the Maryland Rules of Procedures as to forms and contents, divided into numbered paragraphs, each containing separate and distinctive averment. Respond to each material allegation contained in the petition, specifically admitting, denying, or explaining the facts alleged, unless the respondent is without knowledge or omission of explanation would tend to incriminate the respondent, in either of which events the respondent must so state, and that statement will operate as a denial. Find a lawyer. Help you with this process, because you must answer each question without further criminalizing yourself if you do or do not engage in the activity. Every illegal allegation in the petition that is denied in the answer is considered admitted except as to persons unknown. New or formative matter alleged in the answer is not considered denied or avoided by petition without any of the replications unless the court orders subsidies. It go further into it. The order of forfeiture. The court determines the vehicle should be forfeited. The court shall order the vehicle forfeited to the city. So the city confiscates your things, and then they forfeit it over to the city. Right? So where's the it goes? This is politics. Y'all gotta stay engaged because it will impact all of us. However, if the court determines the vehicle is subject to a bona fide recorded security interest created without the knowledge that the vehicle is being or was used in violation of subsidy, the court shall order that the vehicle be released within 5 days of the secured party to the secured party of record. Disposition of vehicles subject to the security interest. Oh, so they can actually sell it over to the secured party, which does not have to be the initial owner. And it says that secured party can sell it for commercial reasonable manners. They may not sell it to the original owner or the other person from where it was seized. The process of sale should be applied as follows: to court costs of the forfeiting procedures, to pay the balance to the secured party, including all reasonable costs indicted into the sale, to payment of all expenditures, including the forfeiture, excluding expenditures of seizure, maintenance, and custody. The disposition of the forfeited vehicle. That takes us down another rabbit hole of another city ordinance or city code. All right, now let's go into this last part. We didn't just learn of the different definitions and terminology of a dirt bike in comparison to what others are. We learned about why it was illegal. We learned the importance of how they deem it on public or private property. We learned the importance of if it's unimmobilized, it's now deemed illegal. But if it's mobilized without any fuel in it, and it's just stationary with clamps and highly secured, that bike is still legal, right? And you can possess it. But once it's demobilized and it didn't move, that now same bike is now considered illegal. That could cause us to have infractions with the law. Now, the penalties itself does not really make much sense. I think it further talks about it expands on the war on poverty. I think it expands on disproportionality of justice involvement, and it plays on the disinvestment of our folks, right? So the penalties of that's talked about in this ordinance says this: any person who violates any provision of this policy, this law, is guilty of a misdemeanor and on conviction is subject to a fine of no more than $1,000 for each offense, or to imprisonment for no more than 90 days, or both fine and imprisonment for each offense. Again, the penalty of riding a dirt bike in Baltimore City, defendant could be found guilty of a misdemeanor and on conviction subject to a fine of $1,000 for each offense, imprisonment to 90 days, and or both the fine and imprisonment for each offense. I'll leave that right there. And I want us to take a mindful approach of when does something so recreational become so illegal? And why is recreational interest deemed illegal? And why can something so easily not be streamlined and policy be redirected to help make these bikes registered, expand our roads, invest in our youth, build the capital so that we can freaking more dirt bike park. But in order to do that, we got to change the laws because it says on public and private property, after such and such is no longer stationary, it's so we got to go back to the policy itself that is one a hindrance to progression, and two we have to look at how it just disrupted humanity in this is our first one. This won't be our last one. And we certainly got to come back very soon to give y'all updates on the press release by our state's attorney, Bates. What is it looking like for low-level offenses? What is his take on public safety and how this all ties back to dirt bike riding, and how B-360 have positioned itself again with the second state's attorney's administration to offer a diversion program so that we can actually reduce the likelihood of dirt bike riders having to face criminal charges on their record that then hinders them the likelihood of upward trajectory success and even education. All of this connects to each other. We all just gotta understand. But that doesn't mean we don't give voice to power. Be the revolution.